Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight within ourselves. And tonight's episode of Yeh Rishta, Kehlata dives deep into this emotional turmoil. Abhira, a character many have watched struggle, finally reignites her inner strength and chooses to prioritize her own healing over clinging to the past. But here's where it gets controversial. Can one truly move on without hurting those left behind? Let's unpack the intense drama unfolding. The episode opens with Armaan firmly declaring that Myra is his daughter. Before he can bring up Abhira, Kaveri steps in with a sharp reminder. Abhira is no longer his responsibility. She urges Armaan to think carefully about Abhira's fragile state and stresses that he neither has the right nor the obligation to interfere in her life anymore. This sparks a heated confrontation between Armaan and Kaveri. Armaan admits he has no legal claim over Abhira, but insists that doesn't mean he can treat her like a stranger. He's deeply concerned about her deteriorating health and feels compelled to be by her side. Kaveri quickly shoots down this notion, calling it a dangerous misconception. She argues that staying close to Abhira might actually harm her recovery, and that sometimes distance is the best medicine. Armaan refuses to abandon Abhira in her vulnerable condition, but Kaveri challenges him with a tough question. Can he neglect his duties toward his wife, Geetanjali? This leaves Armaan momentarily speechless. Kaveri reminds him that his primary responsibility lies with Geetanjali, the woman he married, despite the complicated circumstances that brought them together. Despite Armaan's persistent desire to support Abhira, Kaveri explains that his presence would be unfair to both women. If Abhira grows dependent on him again, it would break Geetanjali's heart and hurt Abhira as well. She urges Armaan to return to his wife to prevent further emotional damage. Kaveri also points out that before Armaan's arrival, Abhira had started showing signs of improvement. Her courage and smile were slowly returning. But seeing Armaan with Geetanjali shattered her emotionally, and staying close now would only worsen her fragile state. With folded hands, Kaveri pleads with Armaan to honor his role as a husband, care for Geetanjali, and give Abhira the space she needs to heal. She leaves him deep in thought, wrestling with his conflicting emotions. Meanwhile, Abhira is overwhelmed by thoughts of Armaan and Geetanjali together. Though she knows they are married, she regrets her earlier reactions and feels a wave of sadness wash over her. Accepting that Armaan can no longer be part of her life, she struggles emotionally and sheds tears. Memories of their past flood her mind, intensifying her inner conflict. On the other side, Geetanjali finds it painful to witness Armaan's lingering attachment to Abhira. Armaan himself is drawn into memories of their shared past after receiving a message from Vidya, who advises him to honor his responsibilities as a husband and not cause Geetanjali pain or unfairness. Feeling unsettled, Abhira decides to try a new way to cope with her turmoil. She reaches for the medicine prescribed by her doctor, for moments when everything feels broken and hopeless. Whispering to herself about her loneliness and helplessness, she admits that today might be the day she truly needs it. But just as she's about to take the medicine, the sound of doors opening shifts something inside her. Meanwhile, Armaan approaches Geetanjali and suggests they leave the place. Surprised, Geetanjali asks why he doesn't want to stay, especially since they are so close to Myra. Armaan explains that staying would be unfair to her. Geetanjali feels a surge of happiness hearing this. But Armaan adds that he must also consider Abhira's feelings, leaving her momentarily shocked. Armaan walks away, and Geetanjali follows, thinking this is the first time he has truly prioritized her feelings alongside Abhira's. And for now, that is enough. Elsewhere, Abhira is quietly sipping water, lost in her thoughts. In a different subplot, Kiara's friend Sakshi decides to stay at the Goenka residence. Kiara introduces Sakshi to Abhir, who becomes curious about Kiara's job search. Kiara claims she's attending interviews, but Abhir notices she hasn't been going out and doubts her story. Later, Sakshi reveals to Abhir that Kiara earns a staggering 8,000 per night, leaving him bewildered and raising questions about Kiara's true situation. Back at the resort, as Armaan and Geetanjali prepare to leave, Myra asks Kaveri when the tension between Armaan and Abhira will finally end. Kaveri replies that it will take some time. Just then, a car arrives, and to everyone's surprise, Abhira steps out, leaving Armaan and the others stunned. With a warm smile, Abhira welcomes Armaan and Geetanjali to her resort and apologizes for not hosting them properly the previous day. She asks for one chance to make their trip memorable, promising not to repeat any mistakes. She explains that she has arranged special touches for their stay, decorating the resort, setting up pandals around Masuri, and planning an aarti in the evening for Navratri. She even mentions that she has arranged snacks, water, coffee, and partitions for privacy, inviting them to enjoy everything without worry. A flashback reveals that Abhira had decided not to take the medicine. She encourages herself to stop crying, bid farewell to the past, and remember the sacrifices made by Kaveri and Myra. Inspired by Akshara's fresh start with the resort, Abhira resolves to live her life fully and not become an obstacle in Armaan's married life. Returning to the present, Abhira opens the car door for Armaan and Geetanjali. Armaan thanks her and shares that they had decided to leave the resort. Abhira, however, insists that she understands their position as guests, but urges them not to let her presence ruin their honeymoon. She insists they stay and enjoy, determined not to give them any reason to complain. Armaan admits that leaving is already difficult, but at least she shouldn't try to stop them because eventually he will have to go. Respecting their decision, Abhira takes charge, loading their luggage into the car. When she asks where they are headed, Armaan looks at Geetanjali for the answer, only to see her storming back into the resort. Armaan quickly follows her. Meanwhile, Abhira confronts Kiara after uncovering her continued drug use and dishonesty. Kiara feels guilty for breaking Abhira's trust. Back at the resort, Geetanjali persuades Armaan to stay, assuring him that Abhira is focused on her work and that she too is ready to move forward. Armaan, still caught in his memories, reflects that since Geetanjali and Abhira have become best friends, he's the only one feeling troubled and alone. He considers leaving to ease his own confusion. At that moment, Myra runs up and embraces him, gently stopping him from leaving. Kaveri tries to intervene, but Abhira firmly states that no one has the right to keep Armaan and Myra apart. Respecting Myra's request, Armaan decides to stay. In the precap, Abhira accidentally participates in a puja alongside Myra and Armaan, leaving Geetanjali shocked. Later, she decides to decorate Armaan and Geetanjali's room, and Geetanjali also asks Abhira to create a card with a personal message for Armaan, leaving Abhira stunned. This episode raises some compelling questions. Is it truly possible to move on without causing pain to others? And when does caring for someone cross the line into holding them back? What do you think? Should Armaan have stayed away from Abhira for the sake of his marriage? Or was his presence essential for her recovery? Share your thoughts below and let's discuss.